Hey y'all, hey, it's another ooh, Lord have mercy. This is a blooper moment. Hey y'all, hey, it's a new episode of Bonafide her podcast featuring Kylie Meadows. How you doing?
I'm good.
I was like, oh wait, I was like, man, I just messed up and I was trying to get it going, but we here. So
No, you're good.
So let's get it started. So, Miss Kylie, can you tell us how you got to where you are right now, like your sports journey to where you are currently?
Yes. So, of course, I started playing basketball when I was in second grade. So, I go way back, but I've had kind of a lot of ups and downs in figuring it out. And honestly, going pro wasn't necessarily the first goal I've had. Like, honestly, just becoming a starter in high school or going to college, that was more so like the realistic ideas in my head that I had in mind of actually playing basketball. So, me becoming a professional basketball player, I had no idea like this is even possible for me, especially because I've never been like the most athletic. I've never been the best shooter. I'm not the tallest person. Like it was like everything combined, and somehow I was able to make it. So I'm gonna start with like in eighth grade, I remember my dad sat me down and he was like, "Do you want to try to play college basketball?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so," but I had no idea what even went into that. So I remember I had like an outdoor basketball hoop and I would be outside like even in the winter time and I would just take two basketballs and I would be like practicing layups and ball handling and all of that type of stuff. And at the time I lived in Idaho and it is absolutely freezing there. So I was going out and that kind of started my like hard work and determination like just you have to put in time outside of actual practice and that was the first time I understood that. And then in high school, I actually only made JV my freshman year. So I wasn't even on varsity yet. And I remember I was also one of the last players to be brought up to varsity, like when the team goes to state. So all of my team, my whole JV team basically got brought up, and I was one of the last people to, to be brought up. And then my sophomore year, I ended up working my way into the starting lineup. I put in a lot of work in the off season and then it was kind of a normal sophomore season. Like I got to play, but I was kind of one of the first people that would be pulled and stuff. Like I didn't play the whole game necessarily, but I decided um, if I wanted to go to college. At the time I was at a 2A high school, and I needed to expand like competition wise and like workouts and the level and all that. And I live in a really small town. Like I had 52 kids in my class in my grade. Yes. So me and my dad, we decided that I should move to a bigger high school. And like I said, my dad, since the beginning, he's like given everything like for me to be able to play. So if it meant us moving to go to a different high school, I that's what we did. So I moved to another high school. It was 4A. It was called Mountain Home, and that's when I started actually putting like major work in. Like I was like waking up at like 5 a.m. before school in high school, and I would drive down and I would get in workouts with like the assistant high school coaches and stuff, and I would start like the strength training and you don't understand. I think now they do, but back then you don't really understand how much in the weight room it helps you to develop as a player. But I understood that going into not until my junior year, but I finally understood that. And that's kind of when I feel like I became more of like an athlete. Like I ended up averaging, I think like 16 or 17 a game, and I was getting looked at by colleges, and we had no idea like what I was capable of at all. Like I remember my junior year, we started going on visits, and we I literally had no idea what level I was going to be able to play at or anything. So my first visit ever was to a community college, and I go there, and we have no idea what to expect, and I literally dropped like 30 points, like a junior in high school. So me and my dad were like, wait a minute, like I think I can do this. Like I definitely can play college. And I went to a different college on a visit my junior year, and I went there, and again, we had no idea about the process. Like, um, my parents didn't know. I didn't know how to be recruited. Like, we were just kind of sending emails out. And when I did AAU, and a certain college coach kept coming. So then I liked that he was interested in me. Like, I wanted to be with a program that felt like family. Like, he cared about me. Like, I remember I was going to AAU, and he was like coming to all my games and stuff. So I decided to give him a visit after the community college, and I ended up signing my junior year. So that's pretty early nowadays. Like you should probably wait a little longer to see what other options come in. And but like I said, I had no idea like the recruiting process or anything. So then my senior year, I play. I end up winning like Player of the Year, like in the 4A conference. Yes, and then I ended up signing though already to Oregon Tech. So so I get all these colleges emailing me and messaging me after I'd already committed. But again, I had no idea like what to do. So I decided to stick with it. I stayed with the original college that I went to, and it was kind of the same pattern. I went there. I had a typical freshman year, as in like average, like I only averaged like 10 minutes a game. I wish I would have redshirted, and that's something that I try voicing to college kids now. Is it's not embarrassing to redshirt. It's if you're not prepared, you're not prepared. Like I physically wasn't ready. I didn't come in like at the collegiate level shape, especially as like an older classman who's already experienced. Um, and if I could go back, I think I would have redshirted for sure. But after my freshman year, it was like I said, typical. But we're going to my sophomore year again. I worked really hard over summer, and I ended up becoming a starter. Um, but then I faced adversity again, and halfway through the season, I didn't get moved to second string. I got moved to third string. So I was moved to third string. I was barely playing. So then me and my dad, it's back to the conversation of like where is there to go, because we had a conversation with the coach, and he basically wanted me to be a role player. He didn't want me to not that he didn't want me to expand my game. It was that he liked where I was. He liked the fit of me being a role player. But for me, I wanted to grow, and I wanted to be the best player, and I wanted to be the one that someone wants to give the ball to. Like I wanted to be in that spotlight, and there I was always going to just be the one who hits the person like that's going to make the big play. Like I'm the passer, or I'm the, like I wasn't going to be that player there. So then I transferred to a school called Bluefield College, and it was the best move for me. It showed me like I came into a program that was missing like people in the forward position. That's what I am, well was at the time, and I just got thrown in there. I became a starter. I played basically the whole game. But of course, it was COVID, so it was kind of weird transferring somewhere because at the time they didn't let people go to the games or anything. So I was just at this new school, and we were just playing with like no one there, like no. And then half the games got canceled, so like half the league didn't even know me. I didn't even know. I didn't really. I only got to play a few teams and stuff like that. But then luckily it blessed me with the COVID year. So I was able to take a fifth year. Um, then my senior year, it was really good. It was normal. We didn't have really any COVID issues. I ended up winning first team all conference, and I ended up winning. I think I was like second team all Virginia. So it was a big jump again, kind of like high school from from my first high school, and then same thing kind of happened from my first college to my second college. Um, and then after my senior year, we had a really good year, but then my head coach, he decided to become the athletic director. So then I had a really big decision to make whether I wanted to stay at Bluefield or if I wanted to go. But then I got to be a part of kind of the hiring of the new head coach. And I met with this guy, his name's Markel Cox, and he became my head coach my final year of college. And this is kind of leading into how I became a pro. Was I really wanted to become a pro. Like I said, Andrea Stinson was my assistant coach, and she always kind of mentioned it and talked about it. Same with Richard Morgan. He also played pro. He was the men's basketball coach, and they were like, "You could go pro, but you got to fix this, 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 this." Like it was like a big list. And then luckily, Markel Cox came in the picture, and he pushed me like crazy. Like when I tell you, I was like a fundamental, like wasn't flashy, nothing like type of post player. Like I would get a rebound and I would hand it to my guard. I wasn't even dribbling up the court or anything. Um, and then I went from that to getting rebounds and bringing up the court to shooting threes, coming off screens. So I really, that adjustment with Markel was what helped me become more pro ready. After my fifth year, I really wanted to go pro. Like I actually decided, I'm like, let's try it. And Markel had a few connections based on like previous players and relationships he's made over the past. So then going into summer, he contacted a team in Puerto Rico. It's the BSNF league, and they were like, "We don't really take rookies, but we'll take you. Like we saw your film; it's totally fine. We're a new team, everything." So then I signed with them, which was so crazy. Like I could not even believe that I actually got a contract. And then I ended up playing semi-pro, which is where we met. I mean, you saw me, of course, in the Charlotte Pro-Am. And then I played another pro in Knoxville. And that's where I met a guy named Blake. He runs Team United. And he helped me sign with the agency so that I wasn't just going into pro without an agent. I actually had someone who, like, an agent's is important. Someone that can fight for you, like say your contract isn't right or something's wrong. He's there to provide that extra help and all that. It's called Dagger Basket. That's who I'm signed with. And um, in Puerto Rico, it honestly, again, it's like a full cycle for me. It didn't go as well as I planned. Not only I was really undersized. Again, the level from college to pro, that jump, especially in that league's very solid. It's got like even some WNBA players in it and some really high level athletes. And I wasn't really ready for that. But then we were a few games in, and I actually had broken my rib from getting hit so hard. Yes, by a very big post player that I was guarding. So it didn't work out for me there. But for the like a weird thing in me is like I wasn't really discouraged. Like I was pretty sad and upset that it didn't work out for me because like you don't want ever to be sent home, but it just happens. Like especially there's a lot of rookies out there that go through it. Like it just happens and you have to move on and you have to find another team and you have to go out there and you're more prepared the next time. So then I come home and I'm only home for like a few, like maybe a month while I'm healing my rib. And then I find out about this tour in Portugal. And this whole time, Blake, through Dagger Basket, he's still working for me to find me a contract and everything. Um, but I decide, I'm like, I don't want to risk not getting a contract this fall already. I'm just going to go on this tour. So I go on the tour. I actually get signed by a team, and I'm so excited again. Like it was almost like a sigh of relief. Like it's not over. Like I actually have another opportunity. So then I get the contract. I'm about to sign it. Like I'm literally about to sign it. And then the coach of Cyprus in Cyprus, he calls, and they this whole time they had been offering the contract, but I never physically received it. So I didn't want to risk saying I'll commit to Cyprus when I had no contract. So I went to Portugal just in case. I get the Portugal contract, then Cyprus calls and they send me the contract. So I'm in Portugal and I'm deciding, do I want to stay here where I really, really liked it, or do I want to go to Cyprus, which was a higher league, better pay, all that. So to me, I tried following my gut, and even though I had no idea about Cyprus, I flew on a plane to go home to pack 2 suitcases. I was home for like 3 days, and then I flew all the way back home So I went from Portugal to the U.S. and then I went from the U.S. back to Cyprus. And then yeah,
Woo.
sorry. I know, sorry. So then,
No, it's good. I was like, girl, you was
yeah,
traveling all over the
no,
place.
I know, and I wish I would have. Sometimes wish I would have just went from Portugal to Cyprus, but at the time, I wanted to go home and be prepared of like everything I needed, like certain basketball shoes, clothes, all that. So then I decided just to go home and get all my stuff. And then I went there and I was there from October to March and I just got home like mid-March. So I've been home a few weeks, but it was awesome. Like I don't even know how to explain. It's crazy when you go overseas and playing basketball is literally your job. Like you just go over there and you go to practice and you go play and that's what you do. Like that's what you do. So it's just I still can't believe I did that and just the experience is unreal.
Girl, welcome home then.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I
Yeah.
know. So my question is, um, would you advise, with COVID year, like a lot of them are taking COVID years and some of them are skipping it. What advice would you give to those that are thinking about maybe taking that COVID year for
Yeah,
college?
I mean, like it felt to me like it was a second chance of redshirting. Like if I would have redshirted, I would have been playing again this past year. So I would have still have been in college and to me, I don't think there's a point of rushing it. Like I understand certain people maybe go to the NBA or WNBA to start making more money, but I mean nowadays in college you can make money with NIL deals and all that, but I just feel like there's no point in rushing it. Like enjoy the moment, be in college. Although I loved pro, I absolutely loved college. And I would play college as long as I could if I had more eligibility before I went pro. So my advice would be to take it. I mean, it's up to you as a person. If you maybe you don't like school, that could be a reason too why people don't want to continue. But for me, like it was a reason. Like my fifth year helped me. I got my master's my fifth year, so you can use that also to keep expanding your degree, and then you'll be more prepared for after basketball as well. So I would say try to take your fifth year. If you're not ready, try to redshirt. Like I would try to stay in college as long as you can. It's great, honestly. I love college.
Because, like, with everybody, sometimes, like, with, you know, skipping that year and then
Yeah,
going too straight, and it's like, well, I mean, should I take that COVID year? I mean, I want to get
yeah,
better, like, just, you know.
yeah,
But my question is, what would you say? Would you say the competition playing overseas is very similar? Would you say, when you were playing at the pro-ams, would you say the competition
yeah.
is very similar or different with the overseas?
Mm, I would say it depends where you go. So, like for example, Puerto Rico, that was probably the highest level I've ever played. It was really solid players. Like in that league, it was basically the Puerto Rican national team members were pretty much the captains and best players like on their team, other than the Americans they would bring in. Um, but like the league I was in Cyprus, I would say the Charlotte Pro Am was a higher level because certain players, of course, in the Charlotte Pro-Am were pro as well. So it's like you're combining in Charlotte Pro-Am, or like how I was in Knoxville, I had a few other pros on my team as well. Um, you're taking like all these Americans that these other teams have chosen, and you're bringing them together compared to when you're overseas. Depending on the level of the team you're going to, they can usually only bring one American. So like in Cyprus, my the rules there were you could bring one American and then you could have one like foreigner, but they had to attend college classes in Cyprus. So yeah, so it was only one true American who was just getting paid to play, as in you're supposed to be going to college as well if you're the foreigner. So I think in Cyprus, where I was at, it would be higher. Pro-Am probably, because some of them women are hoopers, like in that Charlotte Pro-Am, but I would say like the Puerto Rican League was probably a little higher than and more serious. I'm sure if you decided to you were telling the Charlotte Pram all you guys are getting paid to play, I think people would probably play even more aggressive and differently than what we do when we actually play it now.
Yeah, because after you saying that you got hit in the ribs in the Puerto Rican, I was like,
Yeah, yeah. No, it was intense there. It was very intense there.
so what would you say is the misconception about overseas playing overseas? Because some people are like, I really don't want to go to overseas, but I guess I have to if I make money. So what would you say is
Yeah.
the misconception of it?
I mean, I would say again, it depends what level you go. So, like to me, I of course I love my family. I love where I live, like in the States, and not downplaying pro at all. It's awesome that you get to play, get paid to play, but sometimes like the living situations and just the situations you're in there, you're actually more comfortable back home. So like people think, oh, I'm gonna go pro, it's gonna be awesome, I'm gonna be living life, and sometimes you're actually in a better living situation when you're home, depending on where you come from. So I mean, I though it's worth it to me. Like when I go overseas, I love to play basketball, so it's worth it. But there's a lot of fun stories that happen when you're overseas with all that type of stuff. So like even I'm from West Virginia, so I'm used to this type of stuff. But like I remember I had a teammate from Boston, and we roll up to our a house in Puerto Rico, and there's chickens. He's like, "What is that? Like there's just chickens walking around." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's okay. You'll be fine."
Oh, chickens running around
Yeah, a bunch of chickens, dogs, goats. There was a whole little farm that we got going on under our little apartment there.
too. Oh man. So for you, like, what's it like to see, with the viewership of women's basketball, what's it like to see the viewership finally increasing and getting the recognition that it deserves?
It's so awesome. I literally am representing this literally, but it's just awesome. I mean, I've been there, and I've never understood why people aren't more invested. Not to down men's basketball, but I've always loved women's basketball because now they're becoming more athletic, but we've kind of always had to use our fundamentals and our skills of like teamwork and like consistency and like having high basketball IQ compared to just being able to say dunk or get by someone. Like I've always enjoyed women's basketball because I just feel like we play more as a team instead of just watching each other kind of go one on one.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I mean, we're not downplaying the men's basketball, but I mean, we
Yeah.
got style, and you get to see all the, I just want to say shout out to the girls that actually like they be playing with lashes and the nails. I'm like, kudos
Yeah.
to y'all. Like I can't.
Yeah. No, I love both. Like I don't wear a ton of makeup when I play or anything, but when I see like a woman like still being feminine and girly to play, like I love that. Like I definitely am more of like a feminine type of hooper. Like I love wearing like say pink, purple colors, like having my hair braided pretty. Like I don't really care, but I love that we can express ourselves like that, honestly, in the women's side.
Yes, because we debuted, but we gonna be a beast on that
Yeah,
court.
exactly. Exactly.
So I don't know if you've seen like the Final Four and everything, but to see like the Final Four, like the ticket prices
Oh,
increase,
yeah.
like man, just
Literally, yes. Literally last night I was gonna say it said like the average ticket price was like I think $413, and it's crazy because you look on the TV, for example, and you see all the people in there, and I'm like, all those people times $413, like that is a lot of money for women's basketball. Like that is just awesome to me.
yes, because oof, them Final Four games was no joke, and
Yeah.
it's just. But my question is for you: who are some people that you look up to when it came to your game?
Mm. I always loved Asia Wilson. I think it just came from um I don't know, like she's just a dog, like a beast. Like she's so consistent in every level she's been in. She's always the best, and I always wanted to play like her. Actually, when I was in high school and college, like what I would do is I would beg my parents to take me to go see the Las Vegas Aces play, and I would so for my birthday's in June, and we'd always go. We went a couple times, I think like 3 times to go watch Aja Wilson play in Las Vegas, and that was always the best. Like, I just always looked up to her, and I still like we're like similar ages, me and her, but I still would be like fangirling hard. Like if I saw her, I would probably I feel like I'm just back to my high school self. Like, so I would say her, and of course like the people around me, like my family and my dad, and I try to play for him, and just every I don't know, it's just crazy. I probably my dad and mainly Asia Wilson, I guess.
Girl, Asia Wilson is that girl. Like
Yes, yes,
like the fact that she was defensive player of the year twice, and
yes,
then
and she scores. She drops like randomly have like 50-point games. I'm like, how do you do both? Like,
she don't play around. I still want to know who voted for her for fourth place in the MVP.
yes,
I still want to know who did that because
yes,
you
that
were petty,
yes, and
petty.
it's so tough, like, that the WNBA is getting so talented, like, when you look at, like, those MVP candidates, it's like, that is hard to choose, like, do I think she's 4th? No, but it's like, I don't even know how you pick. I don't know how you pick one.
Yes, because Brianna Stewart, she did great this season. Yeah,
Yeah,
kudos to her. But Alyssa
yeah,
Thomas doing something that's never been done in the WNBA, tripling, doubling, like
yeah,
almost every night. Like
yeah,
the game has changed, and I think a lot of people need to really be put on notice. Like, look, women can ball too. Women, they can be a dog too. We
mhm.
we trash talk too, but
Yeah, I love that.
so, but my question is though, for real, is I noticed you like your dad definitely helped you with,
Mhm.
just, with your basketball career. Um, what is one of the advices that he gave to you that just sticks out to you?
Mm, I would say I don't know, he always just like made me commit to something. So like the minute I committed to college or pro, it's like you have to stick with it. And as long as that you commit, like he was willing to support me. So like he was the one driving me everywhere. He was coming to all my games, like except for Cyprus, of course, and Puerto Rico. Um, he I can't even count.
Oh, 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 what's going on? You having technical difficulties? What's going on? Uh oh. Uh oh. Uh oh. Um, oh, we having technical difficulties. We having tech, tech, technical difficulties. I hope y'all enjoying the episode right now. So yeah. Uh oh. What's going on? But um, but yeah. I hope y'all enjoying the episode right now. You know, it's lit, and she should be back soon. Hopefully, she'll be back soon. Um, But we got new episodes coming up, y'all. Of course, we got some new episodes coming up. So, um, we got some technical difficulties. Like I said, this podcast is raw, real. We're gonna have some bloopers moments. So, yeah. So, there she
My
is.
phone overheated. I
What?
I have an iPhone and it's not old. It's like a 14, but it said it was like temperature too hot. I'm like, I've never had that happen before.
Ooh, girl,
I like
I was.
came upstairs. I was like, what do I do? It's overheated.
It's all good. All I know is I was trying to keep the live going, but like technical difficulties. We got hit.
No,
But then
that was my bad.
it's you good. I told you this podcast is raw, real. We're gonna have some bloopers moments, so I'm here for it. So
Thank you.
of course. So, um, but like I said, I just noticed that your dad definitely played a big part in just the support that you described that he provides. It's just amazing to see like your family be able to,
Hmm.
watch your journey continue to grow. So
Yes.
so my question is, if you had to give an advice to folks that want to be at the level that you are, what would it be?
Mhm. I mean, I would say like finding those opportunities to go. Like for me, it's like you have to make the connections. On top of making the connections, you have to be physically ready. Like you have to have the stats to back it up. You have to constantly choose like that you want to go overseas. Like, you can't just be in and out. You have to either be all in or not at all. It takes a lot to go. Um, yeah, I would just say staying focused and consistent, and it's tough. So it's really though, and nowadays, for me, it's like finding connections. Like if you do have the game, there's a lot of athletes out there who don't get to go, who are good enough to go. It's just they don't have the right avenue or the route. And I've actually had quite a bit of people like message me and ask like, how did you go? Because I come from an NAIA school, and that's even more rare than most people that go Division 1. You're playing at such a higher level and bigger players and bigger stage. So a lot of overseas coaches would rather have someone that's used to that type of level. But to me, it's not necessarily about the level. I think that there's just say less of us in the NAIA, but I think plenty of us can go. So just finding the right connections more so, I feel like.
For sure. And people be sleeping on NAIA schools. The
Yeah.
NAIA is a high level too. So don't be sleeping on them,
Yeah,
folks.
no, I totally agree.
So do you feel like when you chose Bluefield, like, was it one of those moments where you feel like, you had to choose what was best for you in not only your in the academic wise, but for your athletic wise?
Yes, I think that I was more so looking for a school that fit me, like somewhere that I was going to get to play, somewhere that wasn't going to hold me back. They were going to like I didn't want to go to a school that was so intense that you can't make mistakes. Like every player makes mistakes, and I wanted to go somewhere that would like let me expand my game. So,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's very hard and important to choose a college that's a really good fit for you. Luckily nowadays, like that transfer portal is crazy. Like you can transfer like left and right. When I was even transferring a few years ago, it didn't seem as easy as it is nowadays.
Yeah, because the transfer portal it is like booming, and like
Yeah.
back in the day when I was growing up, like when you transferred before the transfer portal, when you transferred, you had to sit out a year, and
Yeah,
like
exactly.
and sometimes it was hard to see all these people that were really good to sit out a year, and it's like, man, unless
Yeah.
you were a graduate assistant, unless not graduate student, unless you were a graduate student, then you are automatically can play. So
Yeah.
I, it's just And the crazy thing is too, like a lot of people be like there's some folks that will hate on the transfer portal, like, oh, why didn't you not stay? And it's like all the energy you give into these student athletes about transferring, why don't you give that to the same energy to the coaches that be leaving y'all in the middle of the season?
Yes. I've been a part of so many different coaches leaving, just they're also leaving left and right. So that's tough too, because then you have all those players that say they recruited that either go with them or don't want to play for the new coach. And there's just so many issues with not only players, but college coaches leaving too.
For sure. Because what would you say to folks that say that go through, that are probably going through a coach's change? What advice would you give to them?
I would say, like how we're saying nowadays, it's easier to transfer, but like I gave the new coach a chance and it worked out great for me. So you have to really think about it, and even like researching who they are, like look at them at their previous schools, their previous records. You can even look up nowadays their old games. You can go watch old game film of the coach and just still making sure it's a good fit for you. And if it's a new coach coming in and it's not, then don't spend your time, say, trying to fit into a program that it's not a program that fits you anymore. Find somewhere better that fits you.
Oh, yes. Because
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what I think, that's the biggest thing that, athletes need to learn, need to like really just say, I want to go there for myself. Like, I don't need to, we shouldn't have
Yeah.
to go somewhere just for the influence and stuff. So, and I always ask, there is one question, actually a couple questions. If you had to
Mhm.
describe your journey, currently in probably a sentence or 5 words, what would you describe your journey?
Um, that is a tough question. I would say something to do with like growing. Like every place I've been, I feel like I'm continuously growing as a person. Like I think my coach actually at Bluefield said like bloom where you are planted. So it's like no matter what situation you're put in, um, just make it the best it is. And I know like I'm choosing to go places, but you don't always know what to expect when you go somewhere new. So it's just trying to fit in and grow and find your place there.
Oh, whoever said that, shout out to you. Mic drop on that. Bloom where
Yeah.
you are planted. Period.
Yes.
Just period.
Yes.
So I always ask this question to all my guests. So bonafide means authentic and unique. So what makes Kylie Meadows bonafide, and like what makes your story just stands out from others?
I think I stand out because I think I am an underrated player. Like we said, I haven't always been the best. I'm not the most athletic. Um, I'm always told in different situations everywhere I go, like I'm constantly having to prove myself. No matter how many points I score or where I get signed to, I feel like it's always people like, well, that league wasn't good enough. Well, that conference isn't good enough. Well, let's see if you do it again next weekend. And I feel like I'm constantly proving myself, but like I'm still underrated. So I'm over here playing pro, but still proving myself every contract.
And you doing the darn
Yeah.
thing.
Thank
And
you.
you doing that. Like mic drop. Hello, you doing that. I mean, there's not a lot of people can say that what you're doing, like there, there's not a lot of people can say that, they're doing what you're doing, because it's a blessing, girl.
Hmm. Yes.
And you living that dream. So, so can you let shout out to you for coming on and sharing your story to the podcast. Can you let the folks know on how and where they can support you, and if there's any upcoming events coming up?
Yeah, so well, my Instagram is Kylie Meadows, but I'm actually playing in Charlotte Pro-Am in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, she'll probably be there too. It's super fun. That's a super great league, and so far that's where I am gonna play at. And then I also play sometimes in Knoxville, Tennessee for Team United. Mainly I'm gonna be in Charlotte this year, and so far that's all. I don't have any plans yet. They're in the works, so if you want to come out to Charlotte or Knoxville, I'll be there.
Y'all better support a real one.
Yeah.
Support her. See
And
her ball.
our team is so good for Charlotte. I hope you come out and watch too, because it is get looking stacked. I'm very excited to play with that group.
Yes, because all I can say is I be seeing the posts. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
like I'm here for it. Like
Yes.
I ain't gonna just watch. I'm gonna be volunteering most likely. So I'm gonna be working there. So I had to rep this Queen City Pro Am, of course,
Yeah,
today.
I just noticed that.
So so thank you guys for tuning in to episode 39 featuring Kylie Meadows. You can watch the live replay afterwards. And special thank you to Kylie Meadows for coming on the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.